Hi everyone, welcome to part two of our two-part series on Agentic RAG, where we go and look at behind the scenes of how this modern Agentic RAG engine actually works. In part one, if you haven't seen that, I'm going to link it in the comments. We talked about data ingestion and we actually ingested this unstructured PDF document and it's now ready for retrieval. So in this part, we are going to be talking about the actual retrieval process. So we're going to be talking about things like query rewriting. We're going to be talking about things like hybrid search. We're talking about dense search, sparse search. So you don't want to miss this. Have a look at what we have done. Let's jump right into the n8n workflow that I created. We're going to be testing this workflow against this document for Volknova. This is our knowledge base. This is our unstructured data, and we've already ingested this in our database. So let's walk you through every single block. As you can see, it's a pretty big workflow. So it's easy to just break it into different blocks and see what all of these do. So the first one is the routing block, and its job is very simple. It has to classify each incoming request and determine if this is retrieval worthy. So for instance, you can see that the original query that came in here is what's the price of the Apex runner? And the decision it took is that yes, we do definitely need to go through the retrieval process because this is a specified product name which should be in the catalog. Once that is done, we move to rewriting the user query. And rewriting is a very important part of the RAG process. It essentially helps bridge the gap between how the users naturally phrase the questions and how the document actually describes the answers. So here the rewriter took this original query and changed it into these words that could become searchable chunks, searchable units in our chunks. So that's the whole job of the rewriter. The hybrid search combines the two complementary retrieval algorithms. So semantic search, which is similar in meaning, and that's where we will be using the dense vectors to compare against this embedding right here, the 1024 dimensional vector that we created using Voyage. And then sparse search is the keyword search. The keyword search is looking for specific keywords, like for instance in this case you have Apex runner, price and things like that. So that's why we call it a hybrid search. It's a combination of two, and then we use rank fusion, reverse rank fusion, I believe that's what it's called, RRF, to fuse the two search results together to combine to give us like a combined result. So that's what this whole block does, the hybrid search. And here, it would output a few items, right? For instance, if I go here and I look, I have said the candidates that it needs to output, could be up to 20 in a big document. And so since our document only chunked out to like 12, it's outputting 12 items. The job of the Cohere re-ranker is important. Its job is to promote those chunks that truly answer the question and demote the ones that only matched on surface level semantic or surface level lexical or semantic overlap, right? So this is a very important step, and Cohere helps with taking those 12 items, those 12 candidates, and then providing the final 5 chunks that make sense with its own scoring. So this is the relevant score of the top chunk, and that's 0.88. Then we aggregate all of that and send it to the grader. Now the grader's job is to validate whether these chunks that came back from the re-ranker actually contain enough information to answer the user's question. And this way it's acting as a guardrail that triggers a query rewrite and a retry loop on weak retrieval. So if it thinks that the score, there's not enough information in the retrieved chunk, then you will actually send it through this retry process, this self-correction loop, if you will, and send it back to the rewriter. It would rewrite. So in some of these user queries that we put in, you will see that there are multiple retries because the grader did not think that there was enough information there. So it's a very important block right there. And then this relevant block, then based on the grader's verdict determines whether it's relevant or not to actually generate a synthesized response, which is what is generated. And then finally, you log all of that to the Supabase so that you can actually do some insights on it using AI agents and things like that. So that's the whole idea. I'm going to go ahead and start testing this. So as you can see, I've already tested the first one. Very simple one. What's the price of the Apex runner? This is what we would consider as a direct query, right? It should match both on a dense search as well as sparse search, right? Because sparse means like, the Apex runner price, all of these are keywords that you should be able to easily find in the document. And you can see that this is the Apex runner and the price is $580. And so that's what it responded with. Now let's do some analysis on it. This is our RAG inspector that I created just so that we can do further analysis on how this data actually came out. So if I look at what's the price of Apex Runner, you can see that the router said the user is asking about the price of a specific product, which requires checking the catalog. That's why we need to retrieve. Then it rewrote the query as this. So Apex Runner price, cost, detail, MSRP marking, pricing. And then these are the retrieve chunks. And so you can see how hybrid search actually worked, right? So you have the dense search, which resulted in this scoring, and then the sparse search, which resulted in this scoring. And so both the dense and sparse pointed to this chunk having the exact answer, which it is, right? So Apex Runner price is listed in this chunk right away. So that's where the re-ranker, Cohere re-ranker, this is the relevant score. And then RRF actually combines these two to give you its own result, because these are measured on different scales. So you need this RRF score to present to the re-ranker, and then it provides its own scoring. And then finally, the grader reasoned on this. The top rank chunk, which is 0.880, directly states the Apex Runner price at $580, and that's how you get the answer. So now let's go ahead and give it a question which is not as direct. So we want to use a methodology where the retrieval really takes the question is more semantic heavy, and there's not much keywords in there. So I'm going to ask a question right here which says, which shoe should I wear for a black tie wedding? Now, if you go through our documentation, you would see that there isn't a word called wedding in the in the corpus at all. So let's see what it comes back with. All right, so we have our answer, and the shoe recommendation for the black tie wedding is Nightfall Oxford. Let's go ahead and inspect it to see how exactly it came to this conclusion. So here again, the user asked for product recommendation for a specific occasion, which is black tie wedding. And the rewrite was, so this was the original query, which shoe should I wear? And the rewrite was black tie formal evening wedding, Oxford patent leather mirror finish dress shoe. So the first one. And then these are the top retrieve chunks, right? So you have 0.610, which is the top chunk. And you can see that the top rank chunk explicitly identifies this Nightfall Oxford, which is the definite black tie shoe with specific styling guidance and outfit pairings, right? So if I go back to my website and look for this Nightfall Oxford, let's see. Yeah, there you go. That's the one. So yeah, this is a shoe that you would typically wear for a black tie wedding with a tuxedo and all of that good stuff. And so that's how we came up with this conclusion. But this one was semantic heavy, and that's why you don't see any sparse results, meaning keyword results. You are seeing more semantic search being done on this. Let's go to the next question. And this time I am looking for something which is not part of the corpus, meaning it's out of domain. And what we are hoping to get is that it should not answer. It should actually give up and say that, hey, I don't have the answer, rather than hallucinating, right? So that's what we want. So I asked, what's the warranty on the Vault Nova products? This is not part of this corpus that we've uploaded or we've ingested. All right, so we have our answer. It says, I don't have specific information about what was warranty policy in my current knowledge base. This is exactly what I wanted it to do. I don't want it to hallucinate. I want it to give the right answer. And so let's see what, go back to our inspector right here and how it works. So yeah, so see, you can now see that this one went through 2 retries because the first, the grader decided that there wasn't enough useful information in the chunks that it received for it to answer the question. So it actually made it go through multiple retries. So the first rewrite was Vault Noir, warranty, guarantee, coverage, policy terms, duration, repair, replacement. But then the second one was this, and the third one was this. So none of these resulted in a quality enough answer, and it finally gave up. And so you can see that it gave up, and then this is the answer that it produced. And so no, the reasoning was none of the chunks received in the retrieved set contains information about the wallet warranty policy for the Vault Nova products. So this is how behind the scenes the rack system works, and it requires a lot of fine tuning and optimization. Now there's a lot of other benchmark queries that you can use to test against. And what I have done is this RAG inspector allows me to go back and look at the data so I can fine tune the model if I need to. And eventually, once I've done this for a week, then I can do some data analysis on this and figure out which queries are constantly failing and which queries are passing, and how can I fine tune it to provide the right answer in less retries, right? Because I want it to provide quality results quickly. The more the retries, the more latency that it adds. So that is the behind the scenes look at how RAG works. I hope this was helpful. As always, thanks again for watching.